also talk about other places besides Alaska, but mostly it's Alaska themed.
Alrighty, folks. Welcome back to the Mushing Alaska podcast. Sean, week out from the Iditarod. How's it going, man?
Yeah, dude. I just went to the Fur Rondy yesterday. So this is something that I didn't really know. I feel like maybe I learned it at some point in the last year or two. That's the Fur Rendezvous is a winter festival that is 2 weeks long that includes the Iditarod ceremonial start, includes the Fur Rondy sprint sled dog race, but also includes curling tournament, and there's a whatever outhouse race and the running with the reindeer, and there's all the restaurants and bars, more live music, and people are selling furs as well. That's kind of the history of it, to my understanding, is that it's been going on for 91 years, the festival. I think the sled dog race maybe 80 years. I'm not 100% sure on that. I hope someone corrects me if I'm wrong on that, but they would bring their furs from the winter full of trapping and bring them to Anchorage and sell and be a kind of maybe the sun's back. It's a celebration of being out of the thick of the winter, I think, a little bit. But the race is the Fur Rendezvous Sprint Sled Dog Race, is something that I've talked to a lot of local Anchorage folks this last week about. Hey, man, the Fur Rondy starts tomorrow at noon, and you got to be specific about it. It's the Fur Rondy Sprint Sled Dog Race, because I'll say yeah, the Fur Rondy starts tomorrow afternoon, and then they'll be like, oh, I've seen the Fur Rondy. I've seen the little ceremonial loop, and I'm like, no, not ceremonial, competitive 26-mile urban loop that for $75,000. And it's 3 days, an hour and a half each day. These dogs are running an average speed of 18 miles an hour. Insane. For 26 miles for a full marathon. They do a full marathon, maybe, it's 25.7 miles or whatever, in an hour and 25 minutes, which is insane.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the human record for a marathon?
Human record?
I'm thinking it's probably actually I think it's maybe under, I don't know.
Dude, 2 hours set by Kelvin Kiptum from Kenya in 23. 2 hours and just literally, 2 hours on the spot.
So then 2 hours. So we're at hour 25 minutes for the dogs to run the same distance, but wait, they're pulling, in Bud Streeper's case, I looked at him from 5 feet away from him, and I'm gonna ballpark that he's at least 180. So then you got a 20-pound sled. So these dogs are pulling 26 miles for at 18 miles an hour average in an hour and 25 minutes. Is insane. It's and they're obviously totally different than Iditarod dogs. Although we did see an Iditarod team in there, the Jim Lanier and the Northern Whites or whatever, and Mike Parker, and he was stoked to have a more traditional kind of husky sled dog in this race. If you look back at the Fur Rondy 50 years ago, you weren't seeing all these houndy dogs that you see today that are much faster. So anyways, it's crazy how many local people I'll be like, dude, Fur Rondy 12-2 tomorrow, starts on 4th, ends on 4th, and they've I've never been to it. I'm like, dude, you've been here for 40 years. How have you not been to it? So yeah, I think that there's I might venture to guess 80% of Alaskan residents don't even know the following information: that there's a sprint sled dog race that goes from noon to 2 p.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the last weekend of February, every year. And then the next weekend, also part of the Fur Rendezvous, is the ceremonial Iditarod loop, which is totally different vibes, dude. I mean, these guys are locked in competitive like you see like a our Iditarod mushers or mid distance mushers, the Cusco guys locked in when they're doing chores or locked in when they're ready to leave a checkpoint. Like that's what you're seeing the level of like that energy level with these guys that like Bud Streeper got first place by 8 seconds, in 26 miles. So they're literally the margins are so fine, and it's cool to learn a little bit about sprint being kind of completely different, except for like the hooking up of the dog team and the driving the sleds the same in a way. Obviously faster, but the everything else is you're not camping. So it's a really cool to see and some fast ass dogs, dude.
Nice. Nice. Well, I'm glad that you got to experience that. And that'll be something to put on the list to maybe when I'm there for an Iditarod, get there a little bit
Yes,
earlier, check
for
out the Fur
sure.
Rondy, check out the whole festival and all the other cool stuff going around. I'm sure there's a lot of good food and like funnel cakes and stuff, fried Oreos. What's going on here, baby?
No, I don't think I saw any fryers ripping. Yesterday was and today was
Mm.
just super, probably some of the coldest days of the whole winter.
Ooh.
In the morning it was today minus 14 in Anchorage, which is pretty insane. But as the sun gets up, it does get warmer, but I think the dogs really, really like it. Even though they're like the houndy, not as wintry dogs, they're, by the time it's noon, I think they much prefer this than like last year. I remember it being like 34 degrees and they looked hot. So I'm pretty sure the dogs appreciate it, but I don't think they're, I would be so stoked to have a fucking a fried Oreo and funnel cake just
I
right
mean, you
at
said you
the
said
start, dude.
festival, right? So
Yeah,
like
that's what
that's
I
where my
think.
mind goes. I'm like funnel cakes. One of the first festivals I ever went to when I was in Chicago was where I saw like I never seen a fried Oreo or like fried Twinkies and all that stuff. So that's where my head went
Well,
when you said festival.
Alaska State Fair is definitely,
Okay.
I would think of as like, I mean, maybe there is like some fried Oreos that I didn't find, but
I mean, listen, at minus 14, I have a feeling there's not too many vendors set up that are serving fried Oreos and funnel cakes for my fattiness over here.
Hmm.
Uh um well, good stuff, man.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Anything else?
and I just wanted to say that I saw Kale Casey out there doing his thing, and he's been like accepted by the race as like one of the primary coverage, um, maybe like the primary coverage of the live event. So I just would encourage, I hope this might not come out by the time by it'll be the race will be over, I'm assuming, but you would go to Fur Rondy Facebook page and they have great live coverage of every team, not just leaving the chute, but also coming up Cordova Hill at the end, which is like the last mile. And they're going up this freaking long hill, giving everything they got. The mushers running as like fast as they can run up the hill and getting that around that corner onto fourth, where once it flattens out on fourth, you're the musher doesn't have to run anymore. But they're giving it, and it's just
Yeah,
like the
I'm
ultimate
looking at
grit.
the
And
video right now. Like the
yeah,
setup, it's just on their page right now. I just pressed like, oh man, those dogs got to be going fast.
yeah, they are. And then I'm gonna be leaving here in a moment to go to this corner that's like I saw this. I got the snow machine on the trail to help volunteer with the trail, and uh, my shout out to my friend Paul for he's like, yeah,
Shout
dude,
out
I
to
got
Paul. Let's go, baby.
gave me and Victoria a snow machine, and we drove down from the Sled Dog Association headquarters for Anchorage about 10 miles down to downtown, like on a snow machine on fourth. It's cool. And we were just closing off the trail at some of the trail intersections basically. But um Yeah, I don't. Oh, and so I passed by this area that was this 90-degree turn, and I was like, "Ooh, this would be fun to see a string of 20 dogs because there's no limit on the
Hmm.
total dog team,
Yep.
but you can't just like I did or ought to add a new dog once after day one. So that's why you'll see people start with too many dogs because you are planning on not having all the dogs for all the days. And you take the bench players with you on that first day, and then I bet you the teams will get a little bit smaller, I think. But I mean, I'm still kind of like just getting learning this sprint scene here, and it's crazy how international it is. Like I feel like I don't know this people either really, except for Mike, but it feels like everybody's coming from like not even Alaska, you know?
Yeah, I was looking at the list the other day, and I think there was a solid like almost half of them are not Alaskan residents, or
I saw, yeah,
from whatever the list said, at least, you know.
yeah, I did see like a native team, like native Alaskan team, and then um but yeah, like Bud Streeper, he's your like favorite. He's won it a million times, I think. And but I was learning about like his kennel from Paul, and he was telling me it's like got 250 dogs, and they live in British Columbia.
Damn.
Um, I think he maybe rents out a team for the race. Like there's another guy that's in the race that is paying, I don't know, a pretty penny to think maybe renting a team for like 20 grand or something to run the 3 days. And so maybe we should start saving up, dude. We can just save up 20K and
Just do
then
a
throw
quick
it to
little
Bud.
26 miler, no biggie.
Yeah, throw it to Bud. We can save up 20, 35. We'll go 20, 35. We can save up 1,000, 2,000 a year, 1,000 each.
Yep,
And
yep.
then by 2035 ish, we're locked in with
We're
20K and we
locked
can
in.
be throwing it to, hey, Bud, can you, train up this team? And then I can be out in the Fur Rondy. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. But
That would
those
be.
fast dogs. And
Yep.
anyways, my point was this big. I think that you buy a streeper dog, it's five grand. You know, like there's it's a whole. It seems like there's a little bit more money, but it's also still similar prize money to Iditarod, 75,000 I think for the winner or
Damn.
65. But
Really?
obviously you're going for an hour and a half a day.
Yeah.
But obviously
Wow.
a lot goes into it, and you have the genetics and the training of the dogs year round and getting the fast ones on your team. And so I think that the expensive price of some of these dogs is justified. And and yeah, I don't know if that's like I would love to have some of these sprint mushers on and grill them with some questions. This has been fascinating just to learn
Yeah,
just yesterday,
I agree. Well, good stuff, man. Let's let's transition and do a little preview of our guest for this next episode. We had on Jonah Bacon, the Baconator. And man, we had a good time with him. He was fresh off the Yukon Quest adventure, and I think we spent a lot of time kind of dissecting that experience. And but I love his energy, and I love that he's kind of like a younger musher, right? So like we're in this space where like what's coming down the pipeline with the younger folks, and he's one of them. So definitely it was happy to have him on. And what any thoughts, takes from things
Yeah,
on your side?
absolutely. First things first is like we can we've probably done a lot of these Iditarod like take us through your race. I feel like especially with a rookie and even some other folks like, hey, how'd it go? And they're like, well, the run from here to here and blah blah blah. But it's the Iditarod's been run thousands of times over 54 goes. And so we know the trail, people know the trail. This was kind of cool to have the run through with Jonah because this was like an unprecedented event on a new trail. And I think there was probably lots of trials and tribulations to keep this trail open. And you had, literally hundreds of people making this race happen for six teams, and it just like was really fascinating to learn about this event from a guy that was literally still red in the face from the cold and wind that he was experiencing. So it was a really, I think, a pretty unique episode in that way, and he seemed very like centered with, you know, having had a week or so to process things, and you know, I'm sure he's feeling really fulfilled, and the dogs have already recovered quickly. I know that we didn't actually touch on this during the recording. It's something I meant to bring up, and I'm glad I'm remembering right now. But Deke, of course, Deke and Jonah are partners in business and sled dogs, and the plan was for Jonah to run this race and then Deke run Iditarod, and it was a really tough quest, and there was dogs were a little sore. They were, you know, and I think it was like we got to decide right now because dropbacks are due like tomorrow. Are we doing this? Do you think the dogs are like good to go for Iditarod or not? And you know, we've learned in the past, Lance Mackey, Paige and Cody running back to back quests and Iditarod, I don't know, like 8 times or something. Like dogs can totally do it. But they were a little dinged up and he was unsure. And I think this is kind of what Jonah was saying uh, off after our recording, that it, you know, they've recovered really well. And like if he had the luxury of like waiting and seeing and being like, well, I'll turn in my drop bags later and see how the dogs recover, that he probably would be out on the trail. But and I think it also will open up some cool opportunities for their dog team having not run Iditarod. Like, could we see them in Kobuck, or something like that? You know, they'll probably almost certainly be in the Two Rivers 200 and in Fairbanks. And there's a couple of different mid distance races happening up there. So I'm kind of excited to see, you know, what this alternate reality from what they thought it was going to be, what it ends up being for Nautique, Sky, and Deke and Jonah moving forward into kind of the spring half of winter.
Well, and what did he say? So Nautique Sky is what Deke started, but then North Star Dog Mushing Company is the one that they are like, together on or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think what he was explaining was that Nautic Sky is the name of the dog kennel, and then North Star
That's right.
Mushing or whatever is the name of like the tour company.
Yep, that's it.
So they're going to be on the Cataract Glacier in Kinnick, or that that is next to the Kinnick Glacier. It's actually not in Kinnick at all. Kind of confusing. Kinnick is at the end of the Kinnick arm of the ocean, which is where the Kinnick Glacier used to be, and the cataracts next to it, above it. That's I think Dallas had a tour that was happening on that glacier for a couple of years, and I got to be up there, and now they're going to be, and so that's super exciting that they're going to be setting up for a glacier this summer, and then they're going to be doing winter tours as well. If they probably are right now, and that's probably what the rest of their winter will be doing, along with maybe some events we don't know. But they are doing a yeah, I think it's a very exciting time for Jonah and Deke, and
Yep.
And for their dogs.
Yep. I agree. I agree. So, yeah, we hope you all enjoy this episode with Jonah. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in and enjoy.
So we've recently got access to like regular cable TV or whatever. And I was like, I don't know. Usually I don't really watch TV in the morning, but I was just like, oh, dude, I should put on like the news. And I've like never watched like local Alaska news in like 10 years. I mean, I've gotten a glimpse of it. And I was just like, dude, it's pretty sweet. Like, I'm watching like they're like, yeah, on Adak Island, it's 20 degrees and raining sideways or whatever, snowing sideways. And I'm just like, this is like the coolest, local news thing ever. But it like had all the stats of like how much light you're getting each
Oh yeah,
day
yeah.
and at each place. So like Fairbanks is at like 9.5 minutes a day or something.
Yeah, it changes quick.
It's crazy, dude. 9 minutes. That's
I Yeah, I realized that on this race when we were out there for like 11 days, like the difference from the start of the race to the end of the race, it was like crazy. It was just how much more daylight we had. A huge difference.
Yeah, and so I was just, and then I saw that they had the stats of like average snowfall for Fairbanks and where you guys were at for this year. And I saw like Matt Hall's post about like 10 more inches and it's a record year or whatever.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was cool to see and then of course you see the forecast, it's gonna be like 40 below the next 3 nights or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was just it was cool to see. And then down in Juneau, it's like gonna be another dump down there. Like they're over it probably.
Yeah, there's been a lot of records across the state for this winter. It's been a legit one for sure.
Yeah. And then like I don't even really know like what the trail looks like. We know you guys got a bunch of snow up there, and obviously
Hmm.
like a lot of Alaska got a lot of snow, but I've also heard like from Iron Dog stories through the thicket that
Yeah.
it's been like not a smooth trail
Yeah.
necessarily, but
Yeah, we'll see.
anyways.
You're talking Iditarod Trail.
Yeah, I was talking Iditarod Trail, just
Yeah.
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 But
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know much about what's happened down in that area or out
yeah,
west.
we're in
Just
like two
there, but
different states basically. Me and
yeah.
you, we don't
Yeah.
even it's like
It's
two different
totally different
worlds.
climate zones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, dude. Well, Brennan, do the intro. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, man, Jonah,
Welcome
welcome
to
on, man. It's good to
yeah.
have you. Congratulations
Thanks.
on your finish in the Yukon Quest, second place. And
Appreciate that.
dude, we're happy to have you on, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me on. Excited to chat with you guys and yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Dude, I like I want to ask all the right perfect questions right now, but I'm not going to do it. But I'm going to start with one at least. But like
Uh-huh.
I was just thinking about, the we talked about I mentioned the Iditarod Trail and what
Uh-huh.
it'll look like this year. But then I'm like, what am I doing, dude? I like the stories I heard again, like I wasn't, even really within 300 miles of the race. And but just you hear these crazy stories about, Jeff Dieter's like scratch post looked crazy, and
Hmm.
Josie had been breaking trail for who knows how many miles, and then you're
Yeah.
lurking coming and finishing down the trail. So talk to us, maybe just because
Yeah.
I know you want me, I don't know. I feel like we just kind of ask like we could go from start to finish, but let's just start there.
With the trail?
Yeah, like
Yeah. Yeah, this was the race that like it really taught me that the bottom line, the trail always wins. It's always about the trail. Um yeah, we it was a long race and the trail was in condition for us throughout. Um yeah, we had good trail in some sections. We had like totally wind blown, uh lost the trail. We got dumped on with snow, totally lost the trail. I had to snowshoe in front of my dog team. That was a first. That was Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I guess I should tell you about that. We we had a 24-hour break in the middle of the race. So we were about like 450 miles in or something like that. It was at
that's at the
the
bridge.
Yeah, it was at the bridge, the Dalton Highway Bridge over the Yukon River. And it was sweet. They had their river camp there and they really went all out for us. We had our own rooms. It was awesome. There's a shower there, laundry. It was epic. It was
Nice.
great. So
Hell yeah.
anyways, we got out of there 24-hour break and that's where Jeff had scratched unfortunately. So the only team on the trail in front of me was Josie. And she had a smoking good dog team. She's excellent musher and she was a ways ahead of us. She was like 16 or 18 hours ahead of us. And
Whoa.
and yeah, at that point, yeah, she was cooking. She was really good. Um, she had a great race overall. But anyways, I was leaving there in the middle of like a winter weather advisory warning, whatever you want to call it. It was coming down and it was blowing. And we left.
Then I bet you like the local news that day would have been like, stay inside,
Yeah,
do not
yeah,
go anywhere. And you're like, all right, let's go 300 miles into the most insane wilderness of all time.
yeah. It was crazy. Like you like reading those like NOAA forecasts, the ones that are like written in all like the typewriter letters, like winter weather advisory, like 12 to 18 inches across all of interior Alaska, windy conditions, like 50 plus mile an hour winds. And I'm like, holy crap. I was like, I need to not look at that, not read that, because that is not going to do anything to help me. But I guess of course, it's good to know at least a little bit about like what could be going on and what's out there. But yeah, so we left out of there after our 24-hour break, and I had a good dog team, but we left early, or well, not that early in the morning, but about like 6 a.m. in the morning. So we had about 2 hours of darkness before it turned to daylight. And so leaving out of there, heading towards Rampart, heading down the river. And like the first 10 miles, it was pretty wind blown. Like there wasn't much, it like the river was all like this wind blown crust of snow, and you could like barely see the edges of like the snow machine track. They were just, there was like literally like an inch lip, and you were just trying to stay in that inch lip and make your way down the river. And there weren't very many trail stakes markers along the way, so you couldn't always like see the next trail marker, couldn't catch it with your headlamp. And plus it was like snowing and blowing a little bit, so well, quite a
Star
bit.
Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Star Wars type stuff. Couldn't headlamp couldn't reach that far, so we were really trying to see the trail like right there where we were on, to stay on it. And we made it through that section okay. It was a little dicey, didn't make me feel that good, but we made it through okay. And then I feel like when we hit like mile 15 or 20, the trail got a little bit deeper. There was deeper snow on the side, so the trail was a little more defined, but we got into more snow. That first section, we weren't really breaking trail so much as we were just trying to find the trail and be on the trail. But then we were like, breaking through fresh snow, and that continued for 15 miles or so, and it was really slow. Like 3 to 4 miles an hour, breaking through like 6 to 8 inches of fresh snow.
So you're
Um,
looking at how many miles it was like that? 15, you said?
yeah,
So you're like
15-ish.
6 or 7 hours into this run
Mm-hmm.
and you've gone 25 miles,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
It was
brutal.
it was that. Yep. Yep. And my dog team was doing great. They were awesome. I had a single leader up front, Lefty. She was crushing it, finding the trail, staying on the trail, just like, tugs tight. We're just pulling through it. And I'm working my ass off on the sled, pedaling and kicking to help them out. Um, and the whole time in my mind, I'm like, well, it'll probably get better. It'll probably get better. It's gonna
Yeah.
get better.
You
Well,
have to.
yeah, you got to stay positive. Then we got to like the 30-mile marker in that 30-mile range, and that was about halfway ish on this run. It was going to be about 56 miles, and got to halfway mark. And once you get over halfway, it's a big mental thing. You're like, okay, we can make it. We can make it. We can make it there. And we were just coming off our 24, and I had a strong dog team, and that was, I was pretty confident we could make it as long as the trail didn't like totally blow up. So then in that section, it's daylight, but we couldn't really see the trail at all. What had happened is it was really windy in that section. Everything was windblown, and you just had these drifts of snow, these hard packed drifts of snow that were pretty long and pretty big. So you would hit these
Yeah.
drifts, and you'd
The
be
cloak.
yeah, you'd be breaking through a little bit, but
Oh.
there's no trail. I couldn't see where Josie had went, or couldn't see the snow
Oh.
machines or anything like that. But we were the river is fairly narrow in that area, maybe 50 yards across or so. And I
Oh.
knew, like you got to go that way. You got to go
You're
down
on
this.
the like Yukon River, right?
You're on the Yukon River. Yep, yep.
And it's 50 yards wide.
50
Crazy.
yards to 100 yards.
Wow.
It's fairly narrow, neck down in that area, and so you're just going that way, going down river. And so it's
Right
like
over there.
if we don't have the trail, we don't have the trail, but I know we're going in the right direction. And so we would punch through these drifts, and then on the other side of the drifts it would be all wind blown, and sometimes you could catch where the snow machine track was, and I'd move my leader over there, G or haul her over towards the trail. We get back on the trail, you go through another drift. And it was just like that over and over and over again. So it was challenging, but in a different sort of way. It wasn't that bad. It was okay. We were moving all right.
You
We were
like
moving.
saw just enough evidence of trail,
Yeah,
just enough hard wind pack
yeah,
to like, not make it be a like what you saw in miles 11 through 25 or whatever.
yeah, yeah. We were moving, 5 or 6 miles an hour. It was like great,
All right.
sweet, man.
Yeah, smoking.
Yeah, cooking. But then we got into like deep snow, like deep snow on both sides, so we could see the tunnel of the trail. But once again, it had filled in with snow, so like 6 or 8 inches of snow, and so we were back to breaking trail, going really slow.
Six. And what's the temp roughly?
The temperature, not that bad. It wasn't that cold because it was snowing.
But
Um,
it wasn't like it was like crazy, like wet, heavy either. It was like nice, dry
no, it was
snow.
probably like -10 to 0 degrees or
Oh, okay.
somewhere in there.
And
Pretty
the
comfortable.
wind, is it coming? Is it headwind?
Um, it was mostly from the back, I would say, mostly
Okay,
tailwind.
that's huge. We
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, pushing us down the trail, giving us a speed boost. But we get into that deep snow and we're breaking trail, and as long as my leader could see the trail, we were going down it. Everything was good. But then about like 10-ish miles from Rampart, we're about at mile 45, 46. It it disappears. We got like deep snow, like hip deep snow, and the whole river is just like flat snow straight across. Could not see any trail whatsoever.
At this point,
Um,
I'm sure it's getting dark already or whatever, right? I
well,
mean,
it wasn't quite
or
then. We were probably like mid afternoon.
yeah,
Maybe like
okay.
3 p.m. or so.
With like flat
Um,
light kind of, and
yeah. But what happened is they got all the snow and they got wind on top of it, and it just totally smoothed everything out. It was totally smooth. Couldn't see a trail at all. So, you know, we got your leader, and she's on the trail, working down the trail, and then you see her like punch through on one side or the other. You kind of know, okay, we fell off the trail to the left, G her over, get her back on the trail, keep going. And or vice versa. If falls off to the right, got to stay to the left. But eventually the snow got so deep, dogs are swimming in it. They're not even reaching the trail. They're not even getting down to the base of the trail. So like you can't even tell when the dogs are on the trail and when the dogs are off the trail. And yeah, my leader, she was working so hard, and
lefty.
yeah, lefty. She was awesome. But eventually she was like, man, we're just like snaking our way down the river. She's, kind of trying, she's trying to find the trail. And so she's working back and forth, but there's just no trail to find. And so like I'm trying to point her down the river, and she's like, working to the left, working to
She's
the right,
searching.
searching for the trail, but there's nothing for her to find. And eventually she was like, yeah, I'm, you know, I'm, I'm trying my best, but I can't do this. And I was like, all right, that's fair. Like, I had a really strong dog team, but there was no trail to find, and we were, struggling to make good progress. So I got the snowshoes out, and I couldn't find the trail either. Even when we were at a trail marker, and you knew the trail should be
What?
literally right here, you couldn't feel it. You couldn't, like, it was either too soft or
Crazy.
yeah. So anyways, got the snowshoes out, and I was just walking down the river, and the dogs were, kind of piled up, like walking behind me, very happy. They were having a ball. But yeah, we weren't on the trail. I don't know. I was just like, okay. Yeah, so like it was like, yeah, we didn't really know where the trail was at, but it was just like, I know we gotta, work down the river, make it around that bend. So I'm just gonna walk, basically straight there, make it around that bend, walk towards the next one. Just uh doing that over and over again. It was about eight miles of that until we got close to Rampart. And when we got close to Rampart, you could like we were able to the trail started to emerge a little bit. We could at least see the tunnel of the trail that Josie had gone down. And so I was able to put the snowshoe when we were about like a half mile in front of Rampart. I could see the lights of Rampart ahead. We were able to find the trail again. So I was able to put the snowshoes away and get back on their runners, and the dogs were running. And so we're working towards Rampart. And Rampart's on the one side of the river, and we were on the other bank of the river. We were gonna work our way down and then I guess cut across the river. And like literally right in front of town, we're coming, and I start to feel like that we're on ice, not no longer on snow, but ice. Ice under the runners. You know how slippery that feels, and the scraping of that. And then all of a sudden, it's gotten dark now. All of a sudden, two headlights turn on in the middle of the river, and they just start yelling at me, just like shouting at me. And I was like, "What is going on?" So I stopped the team. And when I stopped the team, I couldn't quite tell what they were yelling. I couldn't hear them, but I could tell that we were on really thin ice, and it was just like cracking, breaking. The dogs were like freaking out, and I didn't know what was going on, but I knew we were on thin ice, and I didn't know if what was underneath that thin ice, if it was just overflow that had like kind of crusted over, and we were just gonna fall in a couple inches, or whatever overflow depth it is, or if we were gonna go like into the river at that section, like we were on, like if the river had opened up and there was like an open lead and we were about to go in the river. So my dogs like just totally, they even without me telling you, they were like, no, screw this, and they like 180'd themselves, and we got back onto the snow section of the trail, got off that thin ice. And then one of those people that had the headlights got on their snow machine and came over to me and told me like, yeah, there's a bunch of overflow in the river. And I was using my headlight at that point. You could see it everywhere. There was water everywhere. And he's like, just follow me around. We're going to take another route back into town. And so I was able to follow him into Rampart. But yeah, it was
Damn.
crazy. That ended up taking us 14 hours to go the 56 miles. And
Damn.
yeah, we just got behind the weather. It took Josie 7 hours to do that run. And it
Wow.
took me
Jeez.
14. And yeah, that was a crazy section. Definitely the hardest mushing I've ever done in my life. Um, yeah, that was a wild time, but yeah, we made it through that, and that was pretty
Was
good. But
did you were there any like moments of weakness on your part? Like was there any like were you thinking about like, you know, what's I don't know, like that seems like that doesn't seem like a fun stretch to go through. So I'm just kind of curious, like, was there
yeah,
any, I don't know, like I don't know, were you talking to Deke through this or like how did you get through that?
yeah, no, I wasn't talking to anybody. But there was, some moments where it's like, man, should we shut it down right here and just rest and take 5 6 hours and then go again. But the reason I didn't was because number one, I had a really good dog team. They were all super happy and pulling really hard. um Number two, we had on top of us that winter weather advisory that was like pretty, unsure what was going to come, what sort of weather was coming, like if we were going to get like 10 more inches of snow. So I didn't know if we were going to get another blizzard with like more snow coming on top that was just going to make things worse. And three is like, I mean, I didn't figure anybody was probably going to come out to break a trail into Rampart for us. So um and the section that really became impassable was only about like 8 miles in front of Rampart. And I was like, I can walk 8 miles. I can do this. If I can go, in my head, I was thinking I could go 3 miles an hour. And I was like, this will just take us like 2 or 3 hours. But no, I did not go 3 miles an hour. I went like 1 mile, 1.5 miles an hour. But that was okay. I mean, yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, I had considered shutting it down and taking a break, but it, I had a really good dog team, and I just didn't think the trail was going to get any better. It was just going to get worse. So I was like, if we can make it to Rampart, we're, safe there, and we can get some communications with people on the race, other people, figure out what's going on with the weather, rest there as long as we need, and figure out a plan to make it through the rest of the race, even if it means we gotta, sit in Rampart for a day or 2 days to wait out the weather. But it was like, if I can make it to Rampart, we can figure out a plan the rest of the way. Um, so that's kind of what kept me going through it. Um,
Dude,
yeah,
that is an
Damn.
insane run, just that one run.
yeah,
And that kind of answers the question I was going to ask was like, we're 5 or 6 hours in, are you thinking of shutting it down? And yeah,
mm-hmm.
I was like, but I mean, and maybe you didn't even bring straw because it's 56 is like regular, normal,
Yeah,
like length thing. And then, yeah, you have like potentially there's going to be another 7 inches of snow and
mm-hmm.
way more dire. So that seems like a really good decision you made in hindsight and in the moment. And I just
Yeah,
think about you know, you when you're like pedaling it and it's deep
mm-hmm.
snow, but you're on the trail. And like I don't know, for some people maybe you don't picture this, but like when you're pedaling and it's like deep snow, and I'm assuming on either side of the sleds pretty much
Powder.
drops off the
Yep,
base, that like there's
yep,
no base really much farther outside the runner. So you can't like the easiest way to pedal, I feel like, is you have your left foot on your right runner
yep,
and you're pedaling along the side, but there's no hard packed snow to really pedal there. So you kind of have to pedal from behind. And you
yep.
had, you had a sit down sled, right?
Yeah, I had a tail dragger. I had my cooler right behind me to sit
Yeah.
down, and then I had a trailer pulling that behind too.
Oof.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I
Wow.
have an option to pedal from the back, so I had to pedal from the sides. But you're totally right. It was just like a lot of times it was just powder on the sides, and so you're like it's almost more of like I feel like maybe mentally to the dog signaling like, hey, I'm working here too. Yeah, I know it's hard, but like we're all in this together. But you're not really doing much when you're
Right.
pedaling through
Yeah.
that
You're
deep
like,
snow. But
I feel like, if you can't actually push forward, you're at least like off the sled for a little bit. So like you're
mm-hmm.
whatever you weigh, that
Yeah,
amount of pounds is off the sled. And even if you're
yeah,
not actually pushing the sled forward or whatever, or you're at least making it 150 pounds
yeah,
easier. And but then yeah, like getting back on, then you're like wallowing and sweating and anaerobic,
mm-hmm.
and then you're
Yeah,
trying to get back on the sled just to be able to like not suck wind for a second. And
yeah,
I'm just like, when you say like, oh yeah, we were like pedaling with the dogs, like it's not just like you're on the skateboard pedaling, like it's like you're wallowing with the dogs and they're also wallowing. And and that's, if you just did that and then you had the rest of the run smooth, that would be a really trying run, right? And you like, so it's, and if that's not what was the case, so I'm just like, and then you're 450 miles in. At least you coming out for 24, and you and the dogs are fairly
yeah,
fresh. But then you're thinking like you're 14 hours into you did I don't know how long you said the run was, but
yep,
14 hours, right? And now you're like, now it's another tough decision and I'm sure, and we haven't even talked about Eagle Summit and
right,
Birch Creek and that, first third or half. And then you get 14 hours. You're like, and that's a tough position. Like, it's too long of a run. You don't want it to be that long ever.
yeah,
But you're like, you also don't want to take like too long of a rest. Like,
mm-hmm.
isn't that, right? Do you agree? Like, isn't there like such a thing as like, you
Yeah,
don't want to rest 12 hours,
yeah. No, I agree. Like at a certain point, you don't gain anything by resting anymore. I did take like 16 hours after that run, but it wasn't so much for the dogs. It was more so for me. I was like, I beat, and with just how the race was going and just seeing like how things were happening, it was like, well, I'm comfortably here in second place. Like, she's kind of ahead of the weather, and she's got a better dog team than me. So like she's gone. Like
Right.
not racing against her. Um Jason and Patrick were behind me, and they were traveling good, but they were ways behind me. They were about 24 hours behind me at the bridge. So I was like, and so I was like, I need to like just like have a solid sleep tonight, because after the 14 hours and all that snowshoeing and stuff. So I took a solid sleep, and then was just trying to figure out what the trail was going to be like going forward, because I was like, if it's like it was from the bridge to Rampart on our way to Manly, it's like I did it once and we made it, but we're not going through that again until we can get like a trail breaker to break the trail or something. So I was kind of waiting on a weather report and all of that. But yeah, it ended up taking 16 hours. But that was more for me than it was for the dogs. Yeah,
I'm sure the
definitely.
dogs didn't mind, you know,
No, I bet not.
and
Yeah,
I'm sure they were. I would imagine they were had to be a little stiff after that. I mean, you're probably getting up and knocking some, working
yeah,
on some stuff with them and
yeah,
doing some massages and whatnot. But like so yeah, you're like, oh, there's no rush to get back into that, right?
yeah,
It makes,
hmm
yeah, totally. And then you're like, maybe the race is like over, dude. I'm not doing that again,
yeah,
and then you're probably also thinking like, if we can get the Manly, then we're like more in, uh,
yeah,
a more populated area, and it should be a better trail or whatever, I would think.
yeah, yep, exactly. Yeah, it was like if we can, because in Rampart, the race route had originally planned on going down the river from Rampart to get to Tanana and then
Yeah.
back to Manly. But in the middle of the race, they decided to reroute and cut that section out because of how dicey and challenging the section of trail was going to be between Rampart and Tanana. So just from them saying that and feeling that way about that trail, I was like, yeah, that trail must have been rough.
Right.
Because other sections of the trail were pretty damn rough too. But so they cut that out. So then we were going to Manly, and yeah, I was like, if we can, it's just a battle of attrition. You just make it to the next stop. Make a plan. Earlier in the race, I had made some decisions and moves, to kind of like start racing, quote unquote. But then quickly realized that those are dumb decisions, and that like the trail didn't allow for that to happen, wasn't going to allow for that to happen. So I just kind of came to realize and understand that it's more about just like moving down the trail section by section, um making it to the next stop, bit by bit. Nothing like don't get too caught up in trying to strategize or make a plan or anything, because it just wasn't gonna, you know, it wasn't gonna happen that way. It was gonna be a checkpoint, checkpoint to camp to checkpoint to camp to checkpoint, sort of thing. Nothing, um, yeah, it was just that sort of race to get to the finish line. But yeah,
Sounds very questly, like
yeah,
very like
yeah,
like
it turned into an
Yukon.
expedition, man. That
Yeah,
was an expedition.
for
Yeah.
sure. And is the trail from Rampart to Manly like it's a trail that's used already, or right? Like was it like we were paved, like I would assume, right?
So it was about half and half. So um there is a gravel road that goes from the Elliott Highway in little mining community or place called Eureka, um,
Oh,
and
okay.
then goes to Manly. So gravel road, and the
That's the
people,
Susan Butcher
yeah, exactly.
zone. Yeah.
Yep. So the people of Manly use that road throughout the winter, snow machining it, to get to the highway, that sort of thing. So that highway section, it was about a 60-mile run to Manly from Rampart. about 30 of it was on that highway section. And that was solid, really decent section of trail. But then we were going to turn off of that highway, like right where it met the Elliott, basically, or just about there. Um, and we were going to go overland through a real quote unquote, trail through over the river, through the woods type of trail. Um, and so I did that run from Rampart, down the highway or down the gravel road, the Eureka Road to Eureka, and I carried a half a bale of straw and was like, if we get to this trail, so I was pretty confident that the road part of this run was going to be decent, and it was great, but I was less confident about the condition of the trail once we got onto that like trail section, the last 30 miles, and so I carried this half bale of straw. I was like, if we get to that intersection where we turn off the road onto that trail and it looks soft and with a bunch of new fresh snow, we're just going to camp there and we'll split this run in half. If it looks good, if it looks like it's been broken, if it feels, strong or, like it's got a good base and like that we can move good on it, I was going to, kind of push all the way to Manly and do the whole 60-mile run. So yeah, we get done with that road section and turn off, and it's a little bit of an uphill to get onto that. And you can just feel it. It just like changes from like probably like 7 mile an hour trail on the highway down to like a 3 mile an hour trail. And I was like, nope, we're gonna stop right here and we're gonna camp. So we camped there at
Hell
that
yeah.
intersection, which was fine. But then
Not again.
yeah. Then we had that 30 miles to get to Manly, and about like 24 of it was on this trail, and then you got onto the what they call it the Tofty Road, which is outside of Manly, and you got the last 6 miles on this basically paved, or not paved, but what am I trying to say, plowed road. um that run 30 miles took us 7 hours. That 24 miles on that trail was so soft and slow. We went like 2 to 3 miles an hour, and it was crazy, man. I've never done something like that for that long. But like the dog team is so good. They're like locked in, everybody's tight and pulling, but we're just breaking trail. And it's pretty soft base, so the dogs don't have a lot of traction. And then there's like 6+ inches of fresh snow on top. We're just breaking trail the whole way. And yeah, the last 6 miles, great. We went like 8 to 9 miles an hour on that plowed road. But
Nice.
that felt great. I was like, oh yeah, I don't like that, like validated the feeling like, yeah, I have a dog team that can move. It's the trail, and that's like always the trail. It's always the trail. But yeah, it was great to, come into Manly going 8 to 9 miles an hour, I guess I was saying, because it was like, yeah, my dog team is solid. They are strong, they got some speed. Um, it's just the trail is keeping it, holding us back. And that was kind of the story of the second half of the race. But I was fine. Just is what it is.
And to Fairbanks from there, was it like no more 3 mile an hour wallowing?
Yeah, it was decent. Um, yeah, so we went from Manly to Tolovana Roadhouse, was a hospitality stop. And that was
Nice.
sweet. That was about 30 miles from Manly. We had a good run to get there. Trail was, pretty good. Some snow machiners had been over it, and so it was broken out and it was good. And then we went from Tolovana to Nanana, and that was 55 miles. And that was a long, slow run for us too. But I think I I'm not sure exactly who, if it was Bailey Vitello's handler or Aaron Burmeister's son or who, but somebody had been on the trails by Minto in the Minto Flats, and they had been out there with a groomer. So we had a groom trail through those flats, which was, just such a relief to like be like, okay,
Yep.
like on a decent trail right now and not gonna lose the trail. It was pretty clear they had been on there like that morning or whatever. But it was just really nice.
Corduroy.
Yeah, we got to Nanana and took her 8 hour, but then in Nanana we were staring down the gun at another winter weather advisory,
Ugh.
and it was like, not again, man.
You're just like seeing
Uh,
ghosts, man. I can't
yeah, I was
imagine the
like,
mental like
yeah,
stress of not knowing
yeah,
and just
and
thinking back to that run. Yeah.
yeah, and it was windy in Nana, like probably like 20 miles an hour, which is pretty windy for us interior folks. That kind of scares us a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it was windy there and starting to snow. And yeah, so I was down in Nana and my 8 hour break was going to be up around like 2:30 or 3 in the morning. And so I was like, knowing that the next day, that Wednesday is what it was calling for, 8 to 10 inches of snow or something like that, 4 to 8 inches of snow.
Which yeah, could
Yeah.
easily be 2 feet, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, well, we're just going to take our 8 and we're going to get out of here and try and get as many miles as we can, before, just try and like stay as far, you know, I know we're not going to be able to escape the storm, but if we can like get out there, every mile we can get down the trail earlier is a mile less of, new snow accumulation you got to go through. So we left Nanana and it was blowing. But some trail breakers had come down from Fairbanks that night and got to Nanana about 2 in the morning as we're getting ready to go. So they had broke the trail down to Nanana. And then as we left Nanana, they headed back to Fairbanks. And so that left at like the exact same time as us heading back. And but it's snowing and it's blowing.
Yeah.
And it took us, by the time we we're about like 30 minutes into that run, could not see where those snow machines could not
God,
see those snow
that
machine
is
tracks. It
ugh.
just all totally like blown over. And there, luckily there wasn't like a lot of snow, but it had just like kind of blown over. We were going through drifts, and I don't know how like Lefty was still up in single lead.
Dude,
Um,
what?
yeah, she's crazy. She's a good dog. But I don't know how she was able to stay on that trail for that whole run because almost the entirety of that run, I could not see the trail. I couldn't see like the dip or whatever, but she never missed it. She never ever was off it. We were on that trail that whole time. And it started filling in with snow. By the time we got, to the middle of the run and towards Fairbanks, we were going through, 4+ inches of fresh snow. So it was another long slog of a run. Um, but ultimately we made it, and yeah, it was a great feeling to make it to the finish
God,
line. But
11 days.
11 days for
Dude,
750 miles,
that's
like it was
insane, dude.
crazy.
What an
Uh,
insane trip.
yeah, and I mean, part of that was I was like, resting quite a bit because
Yeah.
there wasn't any pressure really on, and just trying to figure out, what the best move was, and keep a strong dog team because I knew we were going to be going through some stuff. It wasn't going to be an easy trail. So I was resting quite a bit. So that was part of it. But yeah, there was ultimately the weather and the trail that really that like second half of the race or second or last third of the race, whatever it was mile wise, that really just yeah, Alaska gave it to us. That's for sure.
Damn, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
No,
Uh,
I mean, it was quite the experience, like looking back on it, I hope I never have, that long of a race through that much difficult stuff again. But, just to look back now and to say like, yeah, we had a good dog team and we were able to get through that stuff and make it to the finish. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of them and pretty happy with how it all went overall. But yeah, it was a challenge. That's definitely what it was. But
that's yeah.
yeah,
So so it sounds like Lefty was Lefty your kind of like all-star, or was
yeah.
there, yeah, is there any other dog to shout out or mention?
Um, there. So Lefty. is my best leader, and yeah, she's an unbelievable dog, and she loves to lead, absolutely loves to do it, and she loves to do it by herself. You know, if we I have another dog up there next to her, she starts like, kind of like she like kind of like alligators them a little bit, puts them in the ditch, and because she's like, this is my job. What are you doing up here next to me? Like, I got this. You get back in line and you just pull. I'm the leader here. So yeah, she's phenomenal leader, and she likes to single lead. So she single led for that race, probably about 700 of the 750 miles.
Yeah.
Um,
But when you put her in team, is she just like padding?
no, I mean she's
Okay.
still
I've
I
heard of
mean
this. I've
she pulls.
seen there's
Yeah,
like this iconic video of Rob, uh what's his last name again? Rob, the guy that runs the
Cook.
sled. Rob Cook, yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Of him putting one of his like go-to leaders like in wheel, and the dog is just like not even looking at him. Like the whole team just the dog's just like looking
Yeah,
down. Dude, why would you not put me in lead? I'm a lead dog, you know?
yeah,
Like
it's like
thinking of that.
sad she got demoted.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Lefty was 100% the reason why we were able to make it through that trail in the time that we were, and make it to the finish line. She's absolutely incredible. And then the rest of the dogs, they did great, and they had had a lot of good dogs on that team that were willing and happy and pulled real hard, and I was really proud of them all. But Lefty just, head and shoulders stands above everybody else
How
in
old
what
is
she
Lefty?
did. She's 6.
6. And
Yeah.
is there any like good heritage there? Where's Lefty come from?
Yeah. So her father is the dog Marley. And Deke got Marley as a yearling or puppy. I'm not sure. We got it from Jesse Holmes. So Marley came from Jesse. And then her mom is a dog that has had 2 litters for our kennel, and everybody kind of comes out of her, or has some relation to her. Her name's Belle. And Belle was the daughter of this dog, Ruby, who came from Dallas CV. So a little bit of Dallas,
Nice.
little bit of Jesse in the parentage of Lefty. And that litter that Lefty's a part of, we call it our Mexican litter. They're all named Mexican related things. So it's, Peso, Gordito, Pancho, Lefty, Siesta, Corona. That's our Mexican litter.
How
That's been like
where
the
does
back.
What does
Yeah,
Lefty
dude.
have to do with
Same question.
what
Yeah,
where
it's that the song Poncho and Lefty. It's a like old country song, Merle Haggard.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Poncho's her big brother, and then Lefty's fairly small girl. She's like 45 pounds, but it's Poncho and Lefty. That's that old country song. So that's where that comes from. But yeah,
Cool.
that Mexican litter is like has been like the backbone of the team for the last couple of years. Peso, Pancho, yeah. Gordito and Siesta now run with Keaton Lobrick um, on his team. But yeah, lots of good dogs in that litter. There's a litter at 8, really good litter. Yeah.
Hmm,
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Yeah, that's I think of that I've had a lot of dogs with the over the my short mushing career, I guess now. But just the alligator thing of just the dog, just like
Uh-huh.
I remember in the past I would they're because they're like Brennan, they're just like
Mm-hmm.
kind of playfully, but not that playfully, like chomping at their partner. And it's not like they're actually biting them, but they're like just yeah, it's just kind of a middle finger, like I'm the lead dog and you're the co-pilot program. And so
Yeah.
I remember in the past, I'm curious if you've tried this with Lefty or in general, like I think it's pretty almost certainly you have, but you ever try to put Lefty like half like have like a shorten her tug line so she's like behind the lead dog?
Um,
Or
no, I never have really, or like tried to extend the other leader to let them be a
whatever.
little bit up front. Never really have. No, I've always
Yeah.
been like,
Well, it
and
worked
and
out for 700 miles, so don't fix
yeah,
it if it ain't broke.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we would have figured something out if we had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lefty's like, pretty playful about it. She's like the sweetest dog we have. Um, but the only thing is it like just kind of mentally gets in the head of the other lead dog, and they kind of
Mhm.
like not really, pulling, they're kind of shying away and stuff, and they're not comfortable. Um,
Yeah.
and it's the sort of thing like if we were on the first or second run of a training trip or whatever, the
Yeah.
other
No.
player would be
Yeah.
like mentally strong enough to like be like, yeah, whatever, Lefty, like I'll lead next to you. I know you're kind of messing around, and she only does it for the first couple minutes um of a run or whatnot, so you get through that and then they're totally fine. She can lead next to any other dog. But when you're deep into a race, you put another dog next to her, she kind of does that, and the other dog just kind of like mentally is like, no, I don't want to be here. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of that. But um, yeah, it's funny, man. Dogs, they're always trying to figure them out, and
You'll
yeah,
and you do a little bit, but it's always changing.
yep,
And
absolutely.
so yeah, dude, congrats. And what is the so Jeff was in it, and then was there? I feel like I remember for some reason in my head there was six mushers, but
Yep. Uh, yeah, so it was
The
Josie, Jeff,
just
myself, uh,
Mackey's.
the
Mackey's,
Mackeys.
Patrick, and Jason, and then Keaton. Keaton
Keep
Lobrick was
Oh
in the
yes,
race
Keaton
too.
was in it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so Keaton scratched fairly early in the race at the second checkpoint, mile 101. And I totally feel for him, man. It was tough getting out of there because out of mile 101, you got uh about 6, 7, 8 miles, I don't know. But then you go over Eagle Summit. Eagle Summit's like right there, cowering over mile 101. And so when we went through there, I blew through the mile 101 checkpoint. I had camped probably about 10 miles before it or so, and then blew through it. Middle of the day, bright, sunshiny afternoon type thing, but totally wind blown. No trail up there, and it's above tree line, or like it's like in that wind blown tundra area. So you're up on the side of these fairly big mountains, and there's like no trail. It's all wind blown hard pack. Uh, so the dogs are cruising, but you're like, where are we cruising right now? like, like it was like totally wrong. So, anyways, we leave 101 and we're heading, kind of towards Eagle Summit. And I don't know where the trail is. I've done this run before twice. I've done the racing down over Eagle Summit twice before, so knew a little bit generally about like where we're supposed to be going. But we're going, and I'm like, if we start going up this hill and we get about halfway up it, and I'm like, this is not right. Like where we're at right now is not right. So I stopped him up there. Um, but it was a little sketch. You're on the side of this, you're like side hilling up this mountain. It's pretty steep, pretty big hill, and we stopped there, and the dogs are like, why are we stopped? Are we trying to turn around? There's nothing to orient the dogs. There's no like, path through the trees. There's no like even like tree anywhere close that you can like point the dogs towards.
This
Um,
is like on the way to the base of the
of
ascent
Eagle Summit.
of
Yes.
Eagle Summit, and
Yeah.
you can't even see where to ascend it.
Yeah. The only thing that saved us, I stopped there and I was like trying to like, get my bearings of like where we are. So I'm like, okay, we came from there. I could kind of see the highway, or I know the highway goes there. So I know Eagle Summit's got to be over there. And so then it was like Gian and Ha and the dogs side hilling across this hill that yeah, across this hill, like kind of like just like we were like running with a compass, right? It was like just pointing the direction and would be like, go that way. Knowing that we're not on the trail, but knowing if we go that way, eventually we're gonna hit the trail or be able to find the trail or be able to see the tripods up on Eagle Summit and make our way up there. But yeah, so that was challenge slightly challenging section, and luckily I've done that section before, so I knew where we were supposed to go. if I was a rookie and hadn't done that before, I wouldn't have known. It would have been a lot more challenging. Maybe we would have been able to make it, but um, definitely helped just like being familiar with that area and where Eagle Summit was and what we were trying to do, what the goal was to get over Eagle Summit.
Was the top of the summit or ridge, it's like if I was just pitch black when I did it, so
Uh-huh.
but like I just remember going up like I don't know, probably maybe 1,000 feet or so, and then you kind of
Yeah,
go
probably.
down an even
Yep.
longer descent, but the top being just completely barren of snow and just rocks poking out
Yeah,
and go
it
ahead.
was it was actually pretty good snow this year. I think as good as you're probably ever going to get on Eagle Summit. It was a little bit rocky up on top. When you hit your claw break or whatever, it like cling, 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 cling. But it was fairly snowy. And then on the backside where you drop down, there have been times where I've dropped down and there's like not been any snow, and you're like barreling down that hill at like 15 miles an hour, just like yeah. But it was not the case this year. I was totally functional, like tons of snow. I was able to, basically walk the dogs down at like, 7, 8 miles an hour. It was as good as you could ever get going down
That's
the
so
hill.
nice.
So that was pretty nice. Yeah. Uh, Rosebud, on the other hand, that was not the case. That one
Dude,
was really rocky, really
that was
rocky
crazy, bro.
gravel. Yeah. Yep. There were some times, yeah, just like almost falling over your handlebar, not able to stop, bombing down these mostly short sections, but pretty steep on the
I
backside of
hope
Rosebud.
that I hope there is a God so that he can be like he has the memory of me doing Eagle Summit and Rosebud, like
Yeah.
because that someone saw it because it was
Hmm.
just like an absolute laugh fest for like somebody watching just
Yeah.
going down Eagle Summit. I like it didn't matter that I was off the trail. I didn't realize like because it was like you go down like 50 feet, and then it was like a 90-degree turn, and then it was like go down, and I just went straight down, right? And I didn't realize like if I had continued straight down, that would have been fine. But I was like, well, the trail goes right. I got to go right.
Uh-huh.
So I like go back up to then go right and then go back down the mountain at this like 100 yards parallel to where I was gonna already be going down
Yeah.
safely, just to be like, oh, I could have just done it the first way, and then it fell like 4 to 6 times,
Yeah.
just like
Rolled the sled and
sugar base
yeah.
of the trail, just
Yeah.
unable to keep it upright, and then Rosebud, team threatened and turned around, but they got caught on like the one tree. Thank
Oh,
God.
really?
And then
Yeah.
I get up to the top like sigh of relief, and then I just eat shit going down. You know,
Yeah.
wasn't even that bad of a going down, but like I just was like took a deep breath, and then that right at the end of the breath, it's like, but and it was just like, but I was just like, all right, cool. I'm just like the dogs know where the trail is. I'm gonna maybe dislocate both my shoulders, but like we're chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scrape your whole face off on that gravel or whatever. Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's always like I it's you go to like the pre-race meeting, they give you like a trail report, and be like, oh, Rosebud's gonna be this and Eagle Summit's gonna be this, and it's like always like, oh, we'll see about that. Yeah, it's I'm not so sure. It's just yeah, it's like it's gonna be what it's gonna be, right? Like you can't train for it. You can't like nobody would like go out there and try and train a condition like Rosebud or Eagle Summit is going to be. You're just like, we're going to get there and we're going to trust the dogs that we have and the equipment that we have and that we have the skills, and whatever it'll be, we're going to do our best. And
yeah.
yeah,
And it was also like minus 60 on Birch Creek or some shit, right? I mean,
dude, it was gnarly. Yeah. I don't carry a
It's like in this race, just like I'm trying to think of one chill run one time or like one chill like 15-mile stretch, and I'm just not hearing it yet.
yeah.
But go ahead.
No, the first run of the race is great.
All right,
Like
there you go. That was sick. All
always the
right.
first run of the race, right? But like the local like Two Rivers trails get a lot of use, and so they're always in great condition. So that was awesome. But yeah, no, it was cold. Yeah, that was another story of this race. Kind of one I've kind of like blocked out and forgotten about. But
You lived a
I
whole
don't
lifetime since that run, dude. You
I
know,
know, dude.
that's just like that thing. You're like, oh, 60 below, right? I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't carry a thermometer on my sled, but people were telling me it was, 50 to 60 below. And obviously it's like, no, it's cold. Like it's like full on parka, like stuff and hand warmers everywhere. Like anytime you gotta take your heat locks off to have like your bare hands out, you better like have a plan because you're not gonna sit out there. You want to be efficient as possible when you got your bare hands out. And yeah, I actually I don't know if you heard this story or knew about it, but it kind of got around. Everybody was all asking me about it. Um our second our first run of the race, we go through the Two Rivers checkpoint and we camp a little bit outside of it. And then we have a second run, which is where we go over Rosebud, and I camped about 10-15 miles before the mile 101 checkpoint. So at the second, and the reason we was doing that, I was trying to make 3 even runs to get to Central, which is the third checkpoint of the race. So, anyways, second camp here, right after Rosebud, before we get to 101 and Eagle Summit. I get down into the flats after Rosebud. We were able to find a little spot the snow machine had carved out a little path off the side of the trail. So I'm like, sweet, stop the dogs, pull them over, and get to doing the chores, straw down, food, the whole deal. I get done with all that, and I'm feeling, pretty comfortable, pretty nice and warm. And it was early in the race, and my whole plan for the race was, at least the early part of the race, was to do about a 50-50 run rest schedule because I knew it was going to be a long race. I wanted to have a big team when we got out to the Yukon River. Like I didn't want to do anything silly, go nice and slow, 50-50 run rest. So I was like, we're going to have like a 5.5 hour camp here, or 6 hour camp. And so I was like, all right, time for a little nap. So um I think I pulled out my little sleeping pad and just like, laid down, wearing my parka and mitts and everything because it was cold. Um and took a little nap. I probably wasn't asleep very long, 30 minutes maybe an hour, I'm not sure. But woke up because I was cold, and I was as cold as I've ever been. Like I was frozen. And I was like, what? Like to the point that like I like wasn't like really mentally there. I was like, kind of foggy about what was all going on. And I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I know I gotta like get warm right now. So I just started walking and started pacing um up and down the trail, moving everything I could to start getting warm. And what had happened was, while I think it happened while I was doing all my dog chores. I wear these Neo over boots. Um, and while I was doing all these dog chores, we were kind of in this soft snow that a snow machine had only gone through like once. And my Neos had gotten packed, stuffed with snow. And then I went and took that nap and like totally like froze my feet. And yeah, was frozen. Didn't realize I had packed my Neos full of snow. But anyways, walked for a long time, eventually got warm and was decent. And then we finished up that camp, got back on the trail, headed out through 101, through that tricky section, getting over Eagle Summit, heading towards Central. And like the last probably like hour getting into Central, maybe 2 hours, getting to Central, I was really, really cold again, like starting to get like really cold and not feeling good, and knew I wasn't in good shape. I got to Central though, and took care of the dogs and went inside, and was getting warm, and like took off my boots and my socks for the first time of the race, and my right foot was basically the front half of my foot, like the toes, the bottom of my foot, everything. It was all white. It had gotten like frost nipped in that cold with that snow on it. Um, and I was like, oh, that ain't good. Um, it wasn't very painful, and eventually the blood got back moving in there, turned pink again. But I swapped out boots and stuff, and then went down the trail, continued down Birch Creek, 50, 60 below, went to Fort Yukon, same thing, 50, 60 below. Eventually got to Fort Yukon, and that was the next point that I took my boot off, and my big toe had gotten this big blister on it, like, and then my little toe on the other side had gotten a big, or like a smaller blister, but it got blistered up. um and yeah, it was, I would say it wasn't like total frostbite. Nothing ever turned black. It was probably like frost nip or whatever they call that. And for a while there, it wasn't comfortable, um, but it wasn't necessarily painful either. It was okay. But as you're like, standing on the runners and you're talking about like working back and forth, pedaling on one side or the other, um, it wasn't real fun to be kicking with my right foot. So I did a lot of kicking with my left foot. But Sean, as you know, if you're like on these long races, you try and like, balance it out, because if you're kicking with your left foot all the time, that means you basically have your weight on your right foot the whole time, and your knees and your ankles and all that stuff just start getting tired and worn out, all that jazz. But yeah, that was an interesting adventure. First time I've ever had that. Kind of feels silly about it. Should have noticed, been a little bit more observant about what was going on, but I don't know, a little bit tired, a little bit cold in general. Just yeah, I wasn't quite paying attention to everything, and could have been, if it had, continued on, or gotten a little worse, could have been the end of my race right there. But was able to catch it, I guess, just in time and take care of it. But yeah, that was the
Damn.
story of the first third of the race. The cold
Damn.
and frostbite.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sean, are you having flashbacks at all? Like, does that take you to any
I
any
mean, dude, no, I
Have you
take
ever
my
had that?
flashbacks to like the summits, and Birch Creek was cold as hell, but I was able to
Mm-hmm.
not, I mean, I only did the 300 and it was not, I just remember it being like 30 below for the entire race and to
Mm-hmm.
50 below, and I was just like, you know, pretty much a complete and total wreck at the finish line, and was happy to be there. Yeah,
what
Yeah.
Birch
about
Creek,
have
you double down on Birch Creek when you do the 300. Jonah knows.
Yeah.
what about
Yeah.
have you had frost nip, Sean?
I mean, I've definitely had like some white tips on my fingers or maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, nothing like I've never had a protruding blister like that or but I've definitely had like, your skin starts to peel or
Yep.
whatever. And
Your
I think
your
that's
cuticle
probably some
starts
kind of,
separating. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. My fingertips, like, it's kind of weird. They like get hard. Like, they're not soft and like kind of tender like your fingertips are supposed to be, but they're like hard. It's kind of weird.
Mhm.
That's what kind of happens to me when they start getting cold for those extended periods. Yeah, and then outside of Fort Yukon, it was 50 below, and it wasn't really that windy, but it was breezy. And I think
Dude, all it takes is like 4 miles an hour and that rip, that's like enough.
yeah, I had I think I don't even know when it happened or what happened. I must have had my neck gaiter down for a second or two. But totally chapped the tip of my nose too.
Oof.
Um and yeah, that honestly was more uncomfortable than my foot ever ended up being. That was, pretty tender. I don't know, your face has more nerve endings on it or something or whatever. But that was like, oh, that doesn't feel very good. But yeah, that chapped in the wind there outside of Fort Yukon. I mean, outside of Circle on our way to Fort Yukon.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
crazy. Yeah, I feel like this gives you so much musher street cred. Like obviously, like
I mean,
people are like, yeah, congratulations, but like among the mushing community, like there's six of you, you know, the four finishers,
yeah,
you guys out front being like full on pioneers on the trail, practically, having to break trail and stuff, and it's just like you're gonna run every race you go to, people are gonna be like, dude. I feel like
yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but
No, I mean, maybe so. Well, I mean, I guess we'll see, but like, it definitely is like pretty cool to be like among that select group of people that did this race and just how challenging it was. And each of us like you know went through our own trials and challenges on that race.
yeah,
And super impressive. Like I was traveling behind Josie, but especially on that section between Circle and the bridge. It's a pretty that's like the Yukon Flats. It's a real flat area. You don't see anything like there's no like hills around or anything. It's just like a flat area and pretty the river in that section like braids out kind of and just kind of like meanders through and it's pretty windy. Not much, you know, not much. I mean, there's a lot of snow, but it gets like wind blown and hard packed. And so when the snow machines come through, they don't set much of a trail down into that snow. So just we were able to follow Josie and Jeff was in front of us too, their tracks through it. But I could really see, how much Josie's team, especially, she was out front most of it, how much they were working to stay on that trail and just like knowing that feeling as a musher when you're just on edge the whole time because you got to be locked in 100% on like what's going on, where is this trail at, like trying to find it, point the dogs, when they fall off the trail, getting them back on the trail and keep working forward and forward and just like that uneasy feeling as a musher and just like knowing how much of that she had to go through as she was breaking the trail. And when you have a trail to follow, like you can, kind of just like, the dogs will follow any sort of trail. So, I was able to follow the runners and not really stress too much in that section. But
right.
just knowing that what she had gone through, 12 hours ahead of me being the front team and everything she had to do to get through there. And then, yeah, Jason and Patrick behind me, they got hit with, the same weather I did. And just, for longer. And they got hit with that big storm as I was leaving Nenana, shut them down outside or in Tolovana for like 24 hours. And then they were trying to leave Nenana, get into Fairbanks, and that storm was a multi-day long storm, and they didn't end up. They got out of Nenana, but it ended up being like, yeah, the trail breakers couldn't even find the trail from Fairbanks to them, and so they're like,
Jeez.
yeah, we can't do this. So Jason and Patrick turned around and they had their finish down in Nenana. But yeah, just to be, among that group of people that,
Wait, so they
you know,
finished in Nenana.
yeah, they didn't finish in Fairbanks. Yeah.
So the race was like, yeah, same program as like they went and skipped Tanana. Like they're like,
Yeah.
literally, we can't go to Fairbanks because this is a biblical
Yeah, they're
storm
they're literally
again.
like the trail breakers can't find the trail to get you to Fairbanks. Like we don't expect you to. Like you guys have, yeah, you guys have earned your stripes. We're gonna
Yeah,
just turn you around and go finish in the Nana. And I didn't, I talked to them a little bit after the race, and I'm not sure how they felt about it, but regardless, they did a lot, and their dog teams were great, so they earned that finish for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
man.
no, it'll be cool. Out of all the mushing I've done, this is yeah been the most challenging. But with all those challenges come all the stories and
For sure.
all the people along the way, and just like yeah remember this race and what it was and the dog team I had for forever, and that's like priceless type of stuff. And so um
And and
yeah,
this dog team was mostly 2-year-old dogs. Is that right?
my
Or
my dog team.
yeah.
No, it was mostly veterans.
Okay.
I had a couple 9-year-olds, that Mexican litter, a couple of those 6-year-olds.
It's so funny to hear you say that. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Mexican litter.
yeah. I
Like,
always tell
hilarious.
people, you're like, are they from Mexico? Nope.
Hey, uh,
No. Yeah. No. And then I had a couple 4-year-olds and a couple 2-year-olds, and I had one yearling. Had a couple dogs, as it goes, just with that, I had planned to be part of this race team, but as you're coming up to the race, it's just like had injury or whatnot, and so it was like, well, dog number 14 is going to be this kick-ass yearling that we have, and we'll just see, if he
yeah,
makes it 150 miles, great. If he does whatever he can do, great. But just to have 14 to get started, and he finished the race, and
Nice.
he was a stud. His big yearling dog, beautiful dog, and yeah, like that's like, oh
what's his
man.
name?
Yeah.
Rodman, that's from our
Rodman.
Rodman. Hell yeah.
Chicago Bulls litter.
Hell
Nice.
So
yeah.
yeah, this is the Dennis Rodman.
Who
Yeah.
else you got?
MJ, Pippen. um
Steve.
we don't have Kerr, but we have Kukoc.
Cool coach.
So
Yep.
Deke grew up in the 90s, or like didn't grow up, whatever. He was teenager or whatnot in the 90s when the Bulls were running the world, right? And so he grew up in Iowa and was a Chicago Bulls fan and stuff. So it was named after that team. And I'm not real familiar with who those players were, but Kukoc and Harper are the other two out of that five.
Oh,
So we got
nice. There we go. Ron
MJ,
Harper.
Rodman, Kukoc, Harper, and Pippen out of that litter, five dog litter. And yeah, they're all doing great, but yeah, Rodman is like, yeah, he's a stud on this race, and that's pretty cool. Like as I was coming into the finish line in Fairbanks, just after being on the trail for 11 days and just like trying to soak it all in, and just like watching the dogs move and just being like, I don't know, you get in life, you just have those moments where it's like, this dog team that is right here in front of me right now, that we have just done this race, it's probably going to be the only time that this dog team, is on a race like this. This moment right here is, the last like 2 miles coming into the finish line. It's like, this is it right here. We got a couple 9-year-olds that might be their last race ever. Just how life goes, and the progression of running a racing kennel is just like trying to soak it all in and just enjoy that moment with that. I finished with 11 dogs, and so with that group of 11, and just appreciate everything that they did for me, and on that race, and just enjoy it, because it's like, yeah, it's pretty epic for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there were some emotions
Yeah,
to
man.
be had. And
Yeah.
Dude, are you now a 3-time sportsmanship award winner of the Yukon Quest?
I didn't win the sportsmanship award on this race. I think so it was out of the four finishers, I think we all voted for each other. So it was like a
classic.
four-way tie. So they just drew a name out of the hat, and it was I think Patrick ended up getting it. But I the special award I won on this was called like the Challenge of the North or something like that. It was like the team and Musher that like persevered and got through the race. So that was pretty cool. I got this pair of snowshoes, like the old school snowshoes with like the handmade snowshoes, like the birch and the woven hide and everything. Yeah,
Nice.
so
That's
I got to try
badass.
that. It was pretty cool. No, it was just all overall really cool. This like race was just like kind of like a home homegrown type of race. Everybody involved, all these checkpoints, they all came through and they were phenomenal. And like the villages, all these villages we went to that I've never been to, and the community there and the people. Um, it's just like, yeah, just like kind of reminds you like what it's all about and how cool it is, this dog sledding and racing, and just how it brings people together. And it's a
Absolutely.
whole, it was a pretty small field of mushers, six mushers, but it took hundreds of people to put this race on. And so just like pretty thankful for like all those people that made it happen and allowed me to have this experience with my dog team and this trail. And um yeah, very thankful, to Deke too. And I've been running dogs with Deke now for 4 winters, and all the things we've gone through, and all the fun it's been. And he's just like trusting me with his group of dogs on this crazy epic trail. And um yeah, just a lot of gratitude all around, after the race and the experience we had.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you kind of like gave a shout out to some of the people that are behind the scenes of the race.
Yeah,
Especially it's kind of easy to overlook them, thinking, okay, well, six mushers, not a big field, but definitely a lot that goes on behind scenes. I know Sean sees that firsthand when he's out there working with the Iditarod Insider.
yeah, for sure.
Um, and that actually, that was, I'm glad that you kind of talked about Deke because I've been over here kind of curious. I'm sure it's been nice to like relive and tell your story with the quest this year. Lots of ups and downs and cold moments. It sounds like.
Yeah,
I'm just curious, like, so you and Deke, you've been together for a while. I'm kind of curious to hear about like how y'all got together. I'm also like, what is it? It used to be Nautique Sky
yeah,
Kennel, and now it's North Star. And so I'm just kind of curious to hear about like what went on with that name change, and just kind of talk a little bit about working with Deke and all that.
And
yeah,
also because we like took up a bunch of time
yeah,
and the covering this epic and first of its kind event. So looping in there, just like maybe just a brief summarized version of just getting to Alaska and into dogs. And
yeah, sure.
obviously you can't, it's an hour long thing, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. I can be pretty brief. Um, yeah, I had some connections to Alaska. I had some family that lived up here, and I visited Alaska when I was fairly young, about 5 years old. And those are some of my first memories that I can like remember from my life. Was that trip to Alaska, and then we visited again when I was a teenager. And I grew up in Wisconsin, but it was always outdoors, hunting, fishing, just being outdoors and loving all that, and really into fish and water and that sort of stuff. And so I was like, I want to, try and as a young 20-year-old, 22-year-old or something, trying to figure out, where I wanted to go with my life. I was like, I'm gonna, move to Alaska and see if that fits. So I moved up here to Fairbanks. I actually went to the university here in Fairbanks, got a degree in fisheries, but quickly after moving up here, I've always been a dog person, love dogs, had a dog growing up. But yeah, quickly after moving up here, I got introduced to dog mushing through a friend here in Fairbanks, Cole. And Cole took me out mushing. And first time I did it, I was like, this is awesome. And so I helped Cole out, kind of just doing some rec stuff, fun stuff. That first winter I was here in Fairbanks. And also got the opportunity through a friend who was coordinating volunteers on the Iditarod, Dr. Liz Millman, and just lined up with spring break from school. And so I got to go out on the race, went out to McGrath for a week and volunteered on Iditarod. And that was my first exposure and experience with the long distance dog sled racing. And I've always
What
been,
year is this? What year is this? Out of
um,
curiosity.
I 2022, I think.
22. Okay, cool.
Um, yep. So yeah, did that, and I was like, this like adventure mushing, long distance racing seems really cool. So I came back to Fairbanks and just like was like, what the heck? I'm just gonna like post on this Facebook group of Goldstream dog mushers, which was kind of this community right outside of Fairbanks that I was living in, and be like, hey, this is who I am. This is like what I'm I'd love to get more into it. Like, anybody got any ideas? Like, can I be a handler for somebody? Can I like rent a cabin and have a small dog team or whatnot? So did that, and it's a pretty good community. Some people came to me with some opportunities that I could do, but then I met Deke at the bar here, local bar, Ivory Jacks, great spot. And Deke was like, yeah, hey, this is me. I'm Deke. I got this, 30 dog kennel right down the street. I did her out and whatnot. I got a cabin, looking for a renter. Like, you can move in there, and yeah, you can have your own dog team, or you can help me out with my dog team and figure out what you want to do. And that was kind of the start of it. So yeah, moved in there, and so yeah, moved in there, not really knowing Deke or his dogs, but just immediately, like, he has an awesome kennel, really great dogs, and him and I get along just, yeah, awesome. So yeah, so been, through the years, building up, and did a 300-mile race, the Willow 300, my first year, and then second year I did the Quest 300 and the Copper Basin, and yeah, did some dog show
Damn,
races,
that's a
and
hell of a
then
year there.
yeah, it was sweet. And then so then like so yeah, Deke had this kennel established called Nautique Sky Kennel, and that's still the name of the kennel. But then Deke was working for the BLM, the federal government, and during the summertime, and dog mushing in the winter. But then, and I was doing school, and then yeah, working a 9 to 5 type job here in town. And I was like, like, my love, my joy, my passion is these dogs. Like, there's opportunity to like make that my whole life. And so we both were ready for a change and to get into doing these dogs full time. And so we got into doing dog tours. And so we're contracted to do dog tours at a couple places here in Fairbanks, Rod's Guide Service and Borealis Base Camp. And I go up to the Brooks Range to a lodge out there in March and do tours out there. And so getting into the business side of like running dogs and doing tours, we started this company called North Star Dog Mushing. So that the North Star Dog Mushing is like our business, and Nautique Sky is the kennel that Deke started. So yeah,
it.
we're partners in this business, and but yeah, using the dogs that Deke has been building, the kennel he's been building for the last 13-15 years, whatever it is now. Yeah, that's kind of
Nice.
the backstory.
Nice. I'm curious, how many dogs do you guys have?
44 now.
Four.
Couple
Nice.
couple
Okay.
old retired ones.
Good size right there.
Yeah. So some young 9 month old, a group of 8 9 month olds right now that are in harness and running and doing awesome. But yeah, but probably about a core group of like 20 to 30 good solid, yeah, probably 20-25 veterans and
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah, it's really awesome. We're right here in the Goldstream Valley, right by Avery Jacks, right outside of Fairbanks. It's a sweet spot, but it's
I need
cold.
to check out Ivory Jacks. I've never been, and
Oh, dude, Sean, you got to go. Yeah,
yeah,
What are
yeah,
we doing,
yeah.
man? Come on, man.
Well, I'll be
yeah.
up in Denali for half the summer, so
Okay,
yeah, I'll be up in Fairbanks, and I've definitely been meaning to shoot Deacon and you.
yeah,
So
dude.
you guys are gonna be in. Are you gonna be working with the North Star Dog Mushing Co. in the summer, or are you gonna be going back to fisheries for the summer?
Yeah, so actually, yeah, Sean, you might know a little bit about this. We are previously we've been doing other things in the summer. I worked for Fish and Game down in Homer as a fish biologist, salmon biologist last summer. I stayed with Libby Riddles actually at her place. That was an epic epic, cool thing. But we got approached by this company, Alaska Helicopter Tours, about doing some glacier work,
Nice.
doing glacier gigs. So we are actually going out to the Cataract Glacier.
Oh shit.
And yeah, so there you go, Sean. I knew you'd perk up on that. So yeah, so Deke and I are gonna be out there with our kennel and some other friends that we contract with us too, and going out there to that glacier. So that's going to be the
Nice.
summer, man. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All
Sean,
right.
you've
Well,
done
you're
that
gonna
before,
get.
right?
Yeah, I've been on that glacier more than a couple weeks. I've never done a full season up there, but yeah, it's it's a beautiful commute to work for sure,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, it'll be good, man. That sounds awesome, and that means you'll be nearby here
Yeah.
in Anchorage at some point, I'm assuming, and yeah, that's badass. So you guys are both going to be kind of to and fro there, managing and working
Yeah.
and getting, figuring out camp and
Yep.
all the, first year,
Yep.
uh, you know,
Yeah, I've done some
Logistics.
remote work camp stuff before. That was my 9 to 5 type job I had here in Fairbanks, doing like work camps and that sort of remote thing, helicopter supported remote camps, and whole systems for those camps. And so I have a fair bit of experience with that, but I've never combined that with dogs, or on a glacier.
right.
So
Dude, they have like a fucking, it's like a Vietnam helicopter, dude.
oh
I
yeah, I
mean,
saw, yeah, Huey
dude,
or whatever. Like
dude,
yeah.
yeah, the thing is, it's he what's it called? A Helo or something?
He
Or
is it a Hilo Hilo, or is it Huey? Isn't it Huey?
A
Yeah,
Huey, dude.
yeah,
That thing, dude, I was there when it landed. It was like because you're already getting these helicopters, Brandon, all the time. R-44 and the A-Star, and A-Stars are like a 6-seater,
yeah,
and it's a pretty beefy helicopter. Then the Huey lands and it makes the A-Star look like a little Bichon Frise, dude. It
yeah.
was
A little
like
toy.
it was just like insane, and they just like like 4 times the weight that we could carry with any other
Hmm.
helicopter, and they have like a little bubble in the bottom of the helicopter's floor so he can like look straight down like through the floor of the helicopter and see like what he's picking up. And it was like, dude, it was so cool. I don't even know anything about helicopters, and I was literally like, so I know this is cool,
Yeah,
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 that was
absolutely. So
so
yeah, that'll be our summer plan. We'll figure, be learning as we go. But I'm pretty excited about that, and yeah, how the business is doing good, and it's pretty cool to just be full on all the time dogs, and I
heck
love
yeah,
that.
dude.
It's pretty
That's gonna
cool.
be great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Super stoked to hear it.
yep,
Brendan, you're hanging on by a thread, I bet. It's 11:17
yeah.
Eastern.
Sorry, it's
What
carried
time you
on a
get
little
up,
bit.
brother? What time did you get up, Brendan?
This morning wasn't too bad. Today's a Wednesday, so I got to sleep in till like six
5.
thirty or
Okay.
whatever.
All right.
Papers,
Okay.
man.
All right, you're doing
Well,
good.
I'm still I gotta hit the gym tomorrow though, so I'm still gonna be getting up at like 4:30, four
Oh
forty-five.
God.
Yeah.
papers, man. Well, yeah.
Listen, you just told me about this crazy fucking
Yeah.
race you just did. So like I could suffer through
All right,
four
man.
4 hours and go have a workout and go to work for the day. So
Well, dude, I appreciate it. Yeah, sorry I rambled on
No, no,
a
no, no,
lot
no.
there.
no, dude,
Don't do
this
not
is the
apologize.
point.
I
Yeah,
got in late. We're just happy that we could sit down, and this is like worth. I know Brendan
It's worth the
is
time,
thinking it's
dude.
worth every minute
Yeah.
of sleep he loses, and uh and dude, what an epic adventure you have been on, and I'm thankful that you got to share it with us for kind of your
yeah,
maybe one of your first kind of go reruns of it in your head.
yeah,
And I'd like, dude, I mean, I'd love to like, this is why we got to go to the 3 hour format, Brendan.
yeah,
We should be, we
Just
got,
full on Joe Rogan this thing,
oh,
huh?
yeah.
yeah, 1
With the
a.m.
round table. Yeah, just
But
yeah, no. Oh well, thank you guys for having me on here, and being able to share that story, because yeah, it's I mean, yeah, means a lot to me. So I'm just thankful to have the opportunity to share it, and thanks you guys for asking me to be on the show.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on.
Mushing, Alaska. And we also talk about other places besides Alaska, but mostly it's Alaska themed.